Saudi Arabia, King Abdullah, dead at the age of 90. Let's turn now to former U.S. Ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Robert Jordan. He joins us now by phone. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us. First, your reaction to this news of the death of King Abdullah.
Well, it's the end of an era. King Abdullah was a larger-than-life figure who instituted reforms in many ways, even against the will of the majority of his own people. He tried to drag his people from the 7th or 8th century into modern times and still had to maintain a juggling act to be sure that he didn't take them too far too quickly and lose traction with his own people. He was a very popular figure. He was almost like a Western politician in the way he was received by crowds throughout Saudi Arabia. He was very critical in many ways of some of America's policies, the invasion of Iraq, and other policies. But he maintained, I think, a solid sense of alliance with the United States on most other areas where we have common interests. Fighting terrorism, maintaining a stable price of oil, making sure that the Muslim world doesn't go off the rails. And so he will be missed. I think he'll be followed by an able figure in King Salman, but we'll see how that plays out.
Ambassador, you were there in Saudi Arabia from 2001 to 2003. Can you sort of take us behind the scenes of what may be taking place right now at the State Department, what the plan is, what the reaction could be from the United States? We already heard something from President Obama, but walk us through what might be happening right now.
Well, there will be planning for the next administration. There will be a lot of discussion about what King Salman's policies might be and how they might differ from King Abdullah. Frankly, I think they'll be largely a continuation of King Abdullah's policies. I think there'll be a lot of discussion about the new Crown Prince, Prince Mukrim, who is younger. He's about 69 and the youngest surviving son of King Abdullahs. He's a pretty modern figure. When he was governor of Medina province, he instituted e-government with a lot of computerized technology. And so I think we may see just a slight step up in the modernization of certain elements of the kingdom with his participation. Then I think it's going to be a very interesting series of discussions about whether or not the Saudis will name a successor to Prince Mukrim as essentially the deputy crown prince and someone who might be anointed from the next generation to come into the senior level of government. There will be a great deal of speculation on that, and King Salman will play it very carefully right now and perhaps not rush into that.
Ambassador, I know you said there is a smooth transition in place at the moment, but looking down the line, do you see any concern for allies of Saudi Arabia or any concern of the region and where it stands right now with this death?
Well, it's certainly a volatile region, and so I do think we have to maintain a very careful eye on what's going on. There are certain segments of the Saudi society that are very unhappy. Certain elements of even the business community feel that they don't have competent and adequate governance, that there's a level of corruption that has to be dealt with. And so I think if King Salman simply turns out to be a caretaker and allows some of these things to slide, it may well turn out to be a problem. He may well lose traction. And some of the other princes who are ambitious and who also are trying to move the kingdom forward might feel that this is not off to a great start. I think we'll just have to wait and see on that. But I do think it's a dangerous neighborhood with enormous problems that really only they and their neighbors can resolve in the long run. But I think we've got to keep a very careful eye on it.
What about the economic outlook? Any implications of this? It's been said in the past very recently that Saudi Arabia has no plans to change its oil production at all. Oil prices have been plunging in recent weeks. Do you see any changes here? What do you anticipate?
I think it's unlikely that they will make any major cuts in production. I think they can survive $40 oil for certainly 2 or 3 years pretty easily. They've budgeted a significant budget deficit for the coming year, even though they're implementing certain austerity measures. But let's remember that they have almost $1 trillion in foreign currency reserves that will allow them to run budget deficits for quite some time. They have to figure out a way to wean their public off of subsidies for utilities, for education, for gasoline, in a way that puts them more on a market economy. And I think that's something that's going to be a tremendous challenge for them.
You know, in some ways, it's been said that King Abdullah was the person to modernize Saudi Arabia. Do you see this as a major shift? Do you see an end of an era here?
I do. I think King Abdullah was such a large figure, and he had been the regent on behalf of King Fahd for so long because of his predecessor's incapacity, that he really had a tremendous amount of experience as crown prince ruling the country before he actually became king. He felt free enough to institute these reform measures and felt that he had a solid enough base of political support behind him. I don't know that we believe King Salman has quite that same base of political support, and so there may be some jockeying back and forth that could undercut him, and that's, again, something I think we've got to be very careful about watching.
All right, Ambassador Robert Jordan, former U.S. Ambassador to Saudi Arabia, thank you so much for your insight and perspective. We certainly appreciate it.